Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, better known as Imola, for the opening round of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge's 10th season, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Buttkicker. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod, with Jonathan Grabowski working behind the scenes to give you all the best views of tonight's action. And so tonight we kick off this new season of GTP and GT3 racing with a 75-minute race. And as we head to 3-mile, 19-turn Imola, the same place we kicked off season 6 of the Sports Cars series last Monday night. And, you know, so rather than head home, and head back to the States, Larry and I, as we were wont to do, we spent every waking moment together exploring the best that the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy had to offer. Because we're a cultured pair, we hit up the Audi Fulai per Giorgio Armani exhibit. That's 30 years of black and white photos of one of the world's most famous designers. We enjoyed the musical stylings of the Filarmonica della Scala and their 42nd concert season at the Teatro alla Scala. We then scoped out the Milano Design Week and Salon de Mobile at the Rho Fiera. And finally, well, because of course we're racing fans, we had to honor the life of Ayrton Senna, who tragically lost his life 30 years ago in Imola last week. Good evening, Larry, and welcome to Season 10 of the World Challenge. It's a new season with many new faces and teams, but more importantly, a more enlightened announce staff.
we may be more enlightened, but we also visited some of the local wineries, which means I don't remember any of the things you just said that we visited. I will take your word for it and look at it in the Facebook photos that I'm sure you shared. But yes, we are back at Imola, and it's a big, big field tonight. We've got some new names. We've got some memorable names from seasons past. This is going to be pretty cool. This place, as we saw in the sports car series last week, is very difficult to pass. Not going to be any easier tonight with even faster cars. This could be very interesting night. We'll see how many of this big field are still around come the end of the night here, 75 minutes later.
I was like, come the end of the night, I'm thinking more like along the lines of come the end of the first chicane, as we've got somewhere around 42 or 43 drivers out here right now, and they're wrapping up their practice session here. They're going to be heading out on track in just a little bit for qualifying for their lone qualifying session here. But Larry, why don't we do this for those of you who did not join us last week for the Ricmotech Sports Car Series and the debut of Season 6? Yeah, exactly. Shame on you. Why don't we turn things over to Kevin Ford? He's going to give us tonight's track guide of Imola.
Welcome, everyone, to Imola GP, located here in beautiful Italy. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 17-turn, 3-mile road course. The first auto event was actually held all the way back in June of 1954, and although the course has seen modifications and changes over the years, it is still revered as one of the most exciting and challenging courses in motorsports. Well, let's head up the front straightaway here. You'll notice our main grandstands to the left, our pit area to the right. As we approach the start-finish line here, we'll head down into turn 1, into this very heavy, fast brake zone of turn 2. Very tight wrapping corner here, back to the left. We'll come right back to the right and set up our entry into turn 4. Out of 4, we've got a very fast short chute here that'll lead us down into this next little S corner here of 5 and 6, known as Villeneuve. Out of 6, use up a lot of that curbing. We'll swing right back to the right to set up our entry into Tosa here, turn 7. A lot of rotation here, plenty of room to get some good runoff to head uphill into this very interesting left-hander we have coming. A little blind entry here. Right back to throttle, use up a lot of that track out. Then down into a Q Minerale. Very fast section, heavy brake zone. Very tight wrapping corner here to come up off the exit. Use a little bit of the curbing. Get some good acceleration to come up the hill here into the next very tight chicane of turns 11 and 12. Heavy on the brakes. Back to the left. This will bring us out of 12. And then downhill here one more time into Ravazza. Very fast section here. You will see passing down into this section, but very heavy brake zone. Into turns 14 and 15. Using up a little bit of curb. Get some good rotation here out of 15. Come to throttle as quickly as possible. Get as much acceleration to come down this very long and very fast straightaway here at Imola GP. There you go. There's your track guide for this beautiful course here in Italy. We do appreciate you being with us.
And thank you so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Imola. And Larry, we've got our drivers now heading out on track for their 15-minute qualifying session, a lone qualifying session. We figured we'd start off with Michael Brooks, the driver of the number 83 Wrong Stuff Lamborghini. And why are we starting off with Michael Brooks? Well, because we've got his fan club in the YouTube chat. Welcome Tim, welcome Anna, welcome all the other Brookses here, although it's not Brooks Brothers racing tonight. Apparently Michael's the only one that's in the field this evening for the World Challenge.
He's gonna have to carry the flag for the entire Brooks clan here tonight, but I'm sure he'll do well. He'll be joined by plenty of the Wrong Stuff Racing teammates surrounding him.
Indeed. All right. So Michael and the rest of our field heading out now for a 15-minute qualifying session. It is what we call lone qualifying, where the drivers, for all they know, they've got the entire track to themselves, as opposed to where it's going to get incredibly crowded when the green flag flies and we start the race. But what we do is we give them 4 attempts, 4 flying laps in order to set their fastest time, and that will set the grid for this evening's race. And so we take a look now at Orion Racing's Mike Dam, a former World Challenge GT3 champion, took the win multiple times, 3 seasons in a row, 3 seasons 6, 7, and 8. Last year, our GT3 Pro champion was Ken Copeland. We'll get to him in a few moments, but let's do this while we've got the drivers heading out on their out laps quickly, because we have, besides our GTP cars, our prototype cars, we do have 2 different classes in GT3. We've got our GT3 Pro racers and our GT3 AM racers. Let's show you how we tell them apart. Let's start with Leo Dragotta, also from Orion Racing. He is in the GT3 Pro Porsche from Orion, and we can tell the pro racers because they have the Ricmotech red number boards on the sides of their cars. Same thing with the mirrors and windshield banner, and also the end plates on their wings. And when we start to see GT3 Pro times come across the board on the left-hand side of your screen, like there is, we just had, I believe, Jeff Jacobs put in a time, as well as Mike Dam. We'll start to see them there in red. In GT3 AM, as you can imagine, by taking a look at the color on the side of the screen, and as we take a look at Ilya Speaker, driver of the number 86 Porsche, the AM drivers, they've got the green number boards, mirrors, end plates on the wings, and windshield banners. And of course, those prototype cars, pretty easy to pick them out regardless. They have the black number boards, like Nikki Chan, who is a rookie to the series, her very first evening racing with us here in the World Challenge. Glad to have her, and last 10th racing on the grid this evening.
Yeah, one of the many new faces we'll see here this season, and more Canadians. Got to get the Canadian contingent up a little bit. Right now, they're actually out. I think they're equal numbered by the Australians. So
yes,
the monarchy in full swing.
That's right. We've got the 2 Caffreys and David Steiner here from Aussie land, and then we have from Kanakistan, we've got Nikki Chan, we've got Mike Dam, and also David Payton, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. All right, so as you can see, times are coming in already. As we take a look first at GTP, Palakui Grant goes to the top of the leaderboard to start things off. Palakui was our Season 7 GTP champion and was back with us for a portion of last season. Season 9 did not make it out for season number 8. In GT3 Pro, Mike Dam currently your leader, with Michael Brooks running second for the wrong stuff. Chris Thorman from D2D Sim Racing, 3rd fastest. And in GT3 AM, Ilya Speaker, as we mentioned, currently your fastest driver. Avon Dorsey, another new name to the World Challenge, goes to second. Here, Avon running for Rockefeller Racing, who joined us. That team joined us right at the end of season number 9. And then we have, well, and it's changed once again, as David Steiner goes to the top of the leaderboard. Steiner running for Dominate Racing. And again, a real nice lap put in by him, and he is considerably up, Larry, on the rest of the AM field. As a matter of fact, he's got a couple pro drivers, 3 pro drivers between me and Ilya Spiker currently.
And remember, the start of this race will be a split start between the GTPs out in front and all of the GT3s intermixed behind by their lap times. So the GT3 AMs don't get their own start. So if you can do what David Steiner just did, and you end up with somewhat of a gap to the next place in the AM, you actually end up with a couple pro drivers between. Right now, David Steiner's got the 4th quickest time, I think, in all of, or 5th quickest time now in all of GT3.
5th quickest time.
So, yeah, so he'd be on the inside of row 3 if we start now. But a lot of drivers are still on the 3rd lap. They're going to get a 4th lap, so things could change. We're going to keep an eye on that.
Although, you know, when we saw this last week in qualifying for sports car series, is that a lot of drivers were experiencing issues with what we call an iRacing off tracks, where they had times disallowed.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're watching pro racing and things on TV and you see track limits, they delete time. So it's the exact same thing iRacing does. They just do it instantaneously. The driver knows exactly which limit they exceeded. That one right there, the Delia speaker just went around. Oof. Not only did he punch a wall and exceed the limit over there, he may have actually exceeded the limit on his left going off to the gravel trap. You can go a little wide there. And this place has got a lot of those spots where you want to push those limits, but it will come back and bite you on those little 1Xs, as we call them, those track limits exceeded.
Yeah, so Ilya Speaker, that obviously that last time is disallowed, and that was his third flying lap, Larry. And so I think if he goes back out, essentially, he's gonna hit that fourth lap. So no way to put in another lap. So for the moment, he is your second fastest driver in AM. And as we mentioned, David Steiner, currently fifth fastest GT3 driver overall. Speaker currently 8th fastest overall.
Yeah, one thing we talk about single car qualifying here, and what you're seeing, everyone's got their own virtual track, as well as how those track limits come up. But the way that the scoring works is you get one out lap, so that one doesn't count. You can leave the pits the first time, and you can make your way around. That first flying lap then starts to count, and you can do 4 straight in a row. If you decide to head back into the pits, your next out lap actually counts as a flyer, which is why we're saying that Ilya Speaker wouldn't be able to get another one in because it would just count as another out lap flyer. He's already had one.
All right, Larry, let's do this. We've got a guest waiting for us in the green room right now. It is Bailey Petrowski, driver of the number 115 GTP Acura. He is driving once again this season for D2D Sim Racing. He was our Season 8 GTP champion. Let's bring him on in.
All right, Bailey Petrowski's in here with us, and Bailey, you've gone ahead and gotten your 4 laps in pretty good, so we got a couple of minutes to talk to you. And tell me a little bit about, last season you weren't able to defend the championship, but you had some really good races here and there. You're off to a pretty good start here in qualifying so far tonight. So what are your goals, and what do you think of this season in front of us?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm glad to be back in the Acura. I think I was struggling in the BMW, and I'm to the assumption now that I was cursed in that car, since every race I did, I was involved in a big incident, and then got pneumonia shortly after as well. So I'm just gonna say the BMW is cursed for me, but I feel good in the Acura, so I'm happy to be back in it. Even with all the weight penalties, it still feels pretty good, and I think it fits my driving style a lot better. So I'm hoping that will help lead this to be a better series or better season than last season. But big thing as well is there's always stuff to work on and improve, and there's still a lot that I'm trying to work on, a lot of skills that I haven't necessarily developed or want to develop more, like pit strategy, for example, because I always lose a lot of time in my strategy and my pit cycles and stuff like that. There's always stuff that you can work on improving, and hopefully I can work on that and make something happen with that.
Yeah, because the field continues to grow. In fact, I think we've got 16 drivers registered tonight here in the GTP category. So it's the challengers are coming at you all over the place. Tanner Devil's back in here, of course. Probably Clee Grant. You know him pretty well, having run against him now a couple of seasons. So you definitely got some tough competition. So how do you, I guess, approach that? Obviously, going after things like pit strategies and things, but just any kind of sheer pace. Do you put extra time in your setup than maybe you had in the past, knowing that there's extra challenges coming at you?
Right now, I used to put a lot more time into setups, but now a lot of the setups I've been getting have been feeling really good off the start. I've been just focusing more on the driving aspect of it and just getting to a point where I'll just take a setup and get to a point where I'm confident with that setup. I know the limits of that setup, and mainly just work on that. And I have been doing a lot more practice laps in that kind of style as well. So I don't know how many laps I've done for practice, but pretty much every practice session this week, it feels like I've done about 100 laps, maybe more.
Yeah, so really work on the execution side, and work on the try to get the repetitiveness and get those basics down, so that when it comes time, it's all there, and just kind of like muscle memory at that point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The less you think, usually the easier it is for me. At least that's how it is for me. So
I think that's true everywhere in motorsports. Is the more you get down where it all becomes muscle memory, you have more brain capacity to think about other things and to not have to think about making every corner. So that's a solid strategy to everybody listening in. So we got a couple extra minutes here. Not usually we talk race strategy and things in these interviews, but I'm curious, to get know a little bit more about you. What do you do outside of the sim racing?
Well, I work full-time right now. I'm a compounding pharmacy technician, so I'm in the lab most of the day making, personalized prescriptions or medications for people. And other than that, racing and guitar, those are the two main things that are heavily involved in my life right now. So,
do you practice one more than the other, the guitar and the racing?
It's been focused more on the racing, more like recently more than not. Kind of fallen away from the guitar, unfortunately, but still trying to pick it up occasionally.
Yeah, what kind of styles do you play?
Mostly hard rock, some metal. I play a 7-string electric guitar, so I do play some of the heavier stuff as well. But I try to play a little bit of everything. It's fun to learn just different styles of playing guitar and different techniques. So it's fun to just sit down and spend some time on.
Yeah, that is very cool. So yeah, that's something very different than racing, but it's always cool to hear what people do with their time. Well, we appreciate you jumping in here ahead of the race and talking to us. And looks like everyone's done in qualifying. So I think you're going to end up being on the pole tonight. Any strategies for holding that going through the first chicane?
Don't luck up. That's pretty much it. Because we
good.
really need to work on saving our tires for this track because it's going to be pretty harsh on the tires. At least all of my practice stints, I would barely finished on the wheels that I had and was almost going off the track. So probably be a bit cautious.
All right. Well, we'll see how that works out for you here in a couple of minutes. So good luck tonight, Bailey, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you in about an hour and a half.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, everybody, that's Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing. Moving over, as I believe most of the D2D guys have done, moved over to the Acura this season. Also notable, Larry, I think we mentioned the Orion Racing team now moving over to the Porsches after a couple of seasons in the Audis.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch everybody kind of shifting the new cars and how well they adapt. Bailey, of course, saying he's a lot more comfortable in the Acura than he was in the other one.
Yeah,
I have a feeling the guys over there in the Orion team may say the same thing about that Audi. It's fast, but I have a feeling they're going to like the Porsche. We know back in the past when Mike Dam was in the Porsche, he was nearly unbeatable. Yes. Don't know how that's going to go, but we're going to get a good shot at it here in this opening round. First round, it's going to be a good one.
All right. Well, we've got our drivers starting to grid up. Larry, do you want to take the GTP drivers, and I'll give us our GT3s.
All right, will do. So GTPs on the front row, it's a D2D lockout. The teammates, we just talked to him on the pole position tonight, Bailey Petrowski, and alongside him, his D2D battery mate there, Polikui Grant. That is a tough front row. On the second row, trying to take them down, I believe he's our defending champ in this class last season. DNA Motorsports, Tanner Dibble. He'll be on the inside, lined up alongside Mylon Harris from Rockefeller Racing. Row 3 on the inside, it's another DNA entry. It's Jordan Butler and his teammate, always been fast, Ben Rose. On row 4, it's Dalton Fredericks from Hutchsport Racing and the newcomer, Nikki Chan from Last 10th Racing. On row 5, Fernando Takahashi from Maltfield Motorsports alongside Baron Glover from The Wrong Stuff. And on row 6, Ryan Reisman from DNA Motorsports and another GTD driver, Bobby Childs on the outside. On row 7, it's going to be Jake Zito from Hutchsport Racing and Adam Ross from DNA Motorsports. And finally, row 8, Bill Maltfield from Maltfield Motorsports and Aaron Beaver from Rockefeller Racing GTP.
All right, and Larry, we've got a very short pace lap here tonight at Imola, so I'm going to try and get through as many of these GT3 cars as I can. Starting on the pole for Orion Racing is Mike Dam in the number 93 Porsche. Then we've got Michael Brooks. He is in the 83 Lamborghini for The Wrong Stuff. Then on row number 2, it's Leo Dragota in the number 118 with Eric Starpoli from Delta Sport, another one of our rookies in the season, but the fact that he's starting in pro, he is no rookie. Brian Bennett is going to start on the inside of row number 3, starting in 6th for Sector 5 Racing with David Steiner from Dominate starting 6th. Then we've got Chris Thorman starting 7th with Ilya Speaker starting in 7th. Then Charlie Hosea starting 8th with Robert Hartley starting 9th. Ian Patience from The Wrong Stuff will start on the inside of row number 5, so he'll start 9th. Adam Ballard will start 10th. Then we've got Avon Dorsey, another one of our rookies, alongside Jeff Jacobs, Michael Caffrey from Dominate, next to David Payton from D2D. Andre Wedderburn and Lucas Dragotta from Dragon Sport will start side by side with Josh Vidal and Rocky Rocco. Is that not a name, Larry, for a racer? Rocky Rocco. Stephen May from Mayforce Racing will start alongside Russ Ruddock. And then we've got Greg Brockway from Frito Sport alongside his teammate John Casey, Jason Burmeister from Burmeister Racing, and Robert Brist. And then finally, Philip Caffrey will be pulling up the rear.
Big giant field tonight. Lots of GTPs, lots of GT3s. They're going to be interacting, but the first couple laps going to be about pure speed and getting those tires up to temp. Let's see how it goes. Bailey wanted to make sure to lock up into that first chicane. Let's see if he can do it.
All right, our starter has the field now, Larry, with our pole sitter, Bailey Petrowski, there to the inside. Real-life starter here in the World Challenge, provided by the SCCA Foundation. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the race goes on. And we've got a green flag in the air for our GTP racers, and we are racing here from Imola, season number 10. And jumping out to an early lead here is Bailey Petrowski. And all of a sudden, Tanner Dibble, last season's champion, pulls up alongside Paulo Grant and is going to lead Grant through the first chicane. Then Jordan Butler and Milan Harris, they're getting in line. And wow, look at that. Ben Rose cutting right across the front of Dalton Fredericks.
Yeah, Ben Rose had a little bit of a slow start there, but able to get into line. Looks like they got through that first couple of chicanes. Now we've got GT3s.
And
Mike
green
Dam's
flag is in the air for them, Larry. We are racing in GT3s.
Yeah, Mike Dam is side by side. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He's got Brooks on his outside. They're going to go into turn 1, into the chicane. Brooks has got the advantage.
And Brooks goes so deep under braking in the first part of the chicane. He's going to take the lead. Mike Dam will slot in the second. Eric Starpoli will go third. He gets around Leo Dragotta, then David Steiner. Brian Bennett actually now gets around Steiner to take over 5th position as they now come out of the second chicane and head down to Tosa, down to the hairpin.
Yeah, we talked about Mike Dam getting back into the Porsche this season with the rest of the Orion team, and he'll be quick in there. But remember, Michael Brooks was our runner-up in the pro category last season to his teammate Copeland. Brooks had a really strong finish to that season as well, so he's a contender in this class for sure.
And that's that's assuming that Michael Brooks doesn't just disappear.
He may have blinked. Just don't blink, you might have missed it.
That's right. All right, so far so good. I don't think, looks like Rocky Rocco dropped the wheel, but he is in good shape. Doesn't lose any positions. He's sitting 10th in AM currently, and appears as though things are looking pretty good for our GTP racers as well. You know, Larry, you were talking to Bailey Petrowski. I was trying to wrap my head around, you know, first off, his new theory about you know, not working so hard on the setups of the cars and working more on his racecraft and just trying to live with the setup that he is given. And then he was talking about how at this track his tires are completely gone at the end of a sample run.
You say those two things may be connected?
Yeah, maybe.
It could be. You know what though? Sometimes you can drive around that. I get what he's saying. If you just keep practicing that setup, as Milan Harris now is coming up on the outside of Butler there. They're fighting for 4th. But I think I understand where Bailey's coming from is if you just keep practicing the same thing, you get really good at that one thing and you learn you can manage to work around it. You keep changing the setup and thinking you're developing, what you end up with more is unknown, less practice.
Right.
And that's a good pass there, by the way, for Harris, getting around Butler there for 4th.
Yeah, he set it up a couple corners earlier and you saw it coming. And so Jordan Butler now, or pardon me, Milan Harris now running in 4th, Jordan Butler in 5th as our 2 leaders, Petrowski and Dibble, now starting to separate themselves from the rest of the field. They're already coming up on the back of some GT3 traffic, Larry.
I think out in front of them is Petrowski, and this is the battle for 2nd, Dibble and Grant.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you got Grant, of course, the teammate to Petrowski. He would love to get around Dibble, last season's champion. All 3 of these guys have won championships in this series, in this class. And look at it, side by side to the build-up chicane. That's beautiful stuff. Wow, it's an awesome move there for Grant. Ooh, might have got a little bit of a push coming out of the hairpin.
Yeah,
there
I was going to say,
from
looked like Dibble was trying to give him a little bit of a bump draft through the exit of the hairpin.
A little more bump, a little less draft coming out of there.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're clean, no problems here. But let's see if perhaps Dibble's pace wasn't as strong as Grant now that they're in full warm tire race trim. We'll see if Grant can keep pace with Petrowski, or does Dibble have something to answer. Meanwhile, Milan Harris is caught up because the battles that were going on there between Grant and Dibble. Harris and Butler are right behind him now, along with Ben Rose, Frederick, and the whole clan.
Yeah, you know, and I think when you were talking to Petrowski, he kind of in an offhanded way might have acknowledged some of his issues with cold tires at the start of races last season, which seemed to be a problem. And I mean, he was just masterful of this race. Did a very good job. Luckily, after the first couple corners, he wasn't really under a lot of pressure. But you know, he's opened up now. What, almost a little bit over a 3-second advantage in the course of just a single lap.
Well, he also said he thinks that there's a high tire wear here. And going back to your setup question of whether or not it's related, sometimes a fast starting car that really fires the tires up quickly also is the one that wears that tire out quickly.
Right.
See how that is come mid-race. Does Petrowski have the same pace, or does he need that tire swap at the pit stop midway?
All right, jump back a little bit further in our GTP field, and we are looking at Michael Caffrey in the number 66 Mercedes. He gets around David Payton. Payton, one of our pro drivers, currently running 9th in pro. Caffrey is running 6th in GT3 AM, and we can see he's got about 5 car lengths up to Avon Dorsey in the number 44 Porsche.
Yeah, I love that shiny gold chrome look there on Caffrey's Mercedes. It's just all the shininess. I love it. This is where we get that intermixing between the AMs and the pros. Again, they didn't get each their own start. They all get lumped in together. So it's why you've got Steiner up there sort of at the front, but he's sort of intermixed with some of the GT3 pros. And you got these battles that you're talking about here with Caffrey, Chase, and Dorsey. But then, of course, they've got one of the D2D pro cars behind them because they're all mixed together.
All right, and as we take a look at the 2 cars right here, the white Porsche, that is Ilya Speaker. He is currently running 2nd in AM. David Steiner in the BMW just ahead of him is currently your AM leader. Looking off the back bumper of Speaker, that is Chris Thorman from D2D Sim Racing in his Lamborghini. Thorman currently running 6th in pro.
Yeah, this is we've seen in past races, a very difficult track to pass on. There's only a couple spots. It sometimes takes some gutsy moves, like we saw. It's nearly a little bit of a accordion going on as the Rocky Roccos try to get out of the way of the faster GTPs coming through. And it is a train that's Ben Rose is coming through right behind him. I think that's Jed Butler and Rose together.
Yes, it's the 2 Acuras of Jordan Butler and Ben Rose there. And, you know, Larry, we saw this very early on last week in the sports car series, albeit with the slightly smaller LMP3s and the less powerful GT4 racers. But, you know, this is not, you know, one of these huge modern F1 circuits where you can fit 4 cars wide in many cases, and we see that in many cases these GTP racers, they've got to pick their spots to make passes.
And I think the speed differential between these cars is even greater than it was between the 2 different types of cars we had last week, whereas these GTPs, they generate real downforce. So their mid-corner speeds is a lot higher than what we had seen last week with the LMP3s. These guys can carry a ton more speed than the GT3 cars, whereas like a GT3 car isn't that much higher of a corner speed than like a GT4. It's, of course, the straightaway speed that really got the advantage. But tonight, the delta between them is just going to be really high. I think on a lap time difference there, 15 seconds or so difference between our GTPs tonight and our GT3s tonight, and that correlates to a lot of that cornering speed. So when they come up, it's going to be interesting to watch them go side by side. It's going to take moves like we saw with Podium Grant going around Tanner Devil on the outside of it. You're going to see that going on between the GTPs and the GT3s
all night long, exactly.
We'll hear Mike Dam in his battle with Michael Brooks and Eric Starpoli, I think, right behind him.
Indeed, yep, that is Starpoli running in 3rd in that number 77 Porsche. And again, Starpoli, a rookie we'll call him a rookie here in the World Challenge. No rookie for that matter. He's been racing in iRacing for about 5 years now. And he is running for Double Sports.
Andre Wedderburn having some issues there. He's going to watch. He may have some damage. He's trying to keep the car
he's got some
on the
damage,
track.
Larry.
I think we're going to get a replay of this in a minute, but look at that. He's just crab walking down the straightaway towards that bottom hill.
All right, let's take a look and see what happens here as he just gets sandwiched, maybe?
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, you know when I said that this track isn't 4 wide? Oh, well,
there's an example. Yes.
Yeah.
He definitely got a little bit squeezed. They're all just trying to avoid the GTPs coming by. Once there was contact, it was going to be over a hurry, so he's going to try and kind of make his way back around to the pits, but I think he's going to need some serious repairs today.
Going to try and walk back to the pits.
So the GT3 pros now are being invaded, and that invasion is Bailey Petrowski, your GTP leader. He's made his way on through. What about his teammate, Polyquid Grant? There's a little bit of the straight line speed. But look at Grant. He's got to really back off through this chicane. Right around the outside of them towards the hairpin.
Yeah, except he was still didn't have the acceleration out of the second chicane there, out of the Villeneuve chicane. He was still side by side with Brooks as he came into the hairpin, saw that he couldn't get down to the apex.
Once he's out there, though, he can definitely carry a lot more speed with, even though not at the apex, because of that downforce his cars can generate. But look at this, the traffic coming through. That's Dalton Fredericks in that Cadillac. He's going to try and make his way between, around, under, through, whatever it takes. No one wants to get stuck. No one wants to be that car that their competition in front of them makes it through, and then they get stuck behind GT3s in that corner. That's how you quickly lose gap to your direct competition. Now it's Nikki Chan, right there. Behind, I think it's Leo Dragotta. Yep.
She's going to step to the inside. Now, of course, we've got that long front straight until we get to the first chicane there. She should be able to get a good run and be able to dispatch a number of those GT3
Yeah,
cars.
that's the best play, especially if you come onto a pack and you can catch them right there. That or maybe running down towards Ravazza. But there's so many other spots where if you catch them like through these chicanes, it's really difficult to do it too wide and get around. Battle Avon Dorsey here, Jeff Jacobs in front of him. Then he gets Michael Caffrey. We talked about him earlier, right behind them.
Indeed, Caffrey in the 66 Mercedes. Right now, that is the Dorsey and Caffrey. That is the battle for 5th in AM.
Just watching Bill Molefield trying to get around there, but I don't know if he's really looking for him.
I don't know. There's a lot of room in that gravel trap if wants to use it. Oh, wow. Running very wide and deep. That was Michael Brooks.
He's going to get a slowdown for that for sure.
He is, and that is going to elevate Mike Dam to the lead in GT3 Pro. May allow Starpoli by as well. Starpoli now moving up into 2nd in GT3 Pro. And Leo Dragotta just a little bit too far back to take advantage of it.
Yeah, look at Brooks is trying to serve that penalty. I think he may have been able to do it through that upper chicane. Looks like he's back on pace, but losing those 2 critical positions. But that'll hurt you right there. You can pick up 1X, it's real easy around there, but the slowdown isn't much further, and I'm pretty sure he made it all the way out there. It's usually about a second or second and a half. You just get slow down if you're not familiar. iRacing does like a little counter. So you got 1.2 seconds to serve. What it means, you got to lift and lift a lot. You got to really almost come down to a crawl at times. Strategy-wise, do it in the next corner. Usually they give you about 30 seconds to get that penalty served.
Exactly.
Do it in a
slow portion of the track, not on a straight.
Oh, we've got contact there.
Yeah,
that was Starpoli.
Starpoli getting into and with one of our GTP cars, and I'm trying to pick. I think that was. Trying to see, was it
Jake Zito?
Jake Zito in the 109 Cadillac, I believe, is the one who went off.
I think we're going to get a replay queued up here in a second, but we do think it was Zito that was there. Yeah, there he is on the front straight going up into
the first
Tamburello chicane, and he's just on the inside, and quite have a ton of room there. There probably could have been a little bit more for Jake. Unfortunately, he didn't. He got tagged there. We'll see what the stewards have to say about that.
All right, let's go back to live action here. Now, as that drops Starpoli back to 5th position, he is now having to deal with Brian Bennett in the 161 Audi. Leo Dragotta just ahead. That moves Dragotta now up into 3rd position. So we've got the Ryan Racers 1st and 3rd now with Michael Brooks from the Wrong Stuff sandwiched in between.
Well, remember, we started a lap and a half ago with Brooks and Dam and Sarapoli, basically a 3-car train, and no one really all that near them. All of a sudden, Brooks goes off past the server penalty. Sarapoli gets tangled with the GTP, and now all of a sudden we're back to Mike Dam out in front with Michael Brooks now back up into that 2nd spot, and Dragotta now up to 3rd with Sarapoli back down into 5th. Oop, make that 4th as he's able to get around Bennett.
I was going to say, it looked like Starpoli turned that Porsche into a Spec Miata for a little bit there as he was pushing Bennett towards Tamburello.
You do what you have to sometimes. It's down the inside. That's Malfield in the 911. He's trying to get through there. Bennett then in that Audi in GT3, and then right behind him, and he got Zito again, probably being a little more tentative here than he was the first time.
Yeah, perhaps just a little.
Maybe give a little bit of a wave as he goes past Starpoli. Don't know how many fingers in that wave, but I'm sure it's a gentleman thing.
I was going to say. It's a 20% wave there.
All right, back to Baron Glover here from the Wrong Stuff, driving his Porsche. And right behind him, I think that's Ryan Reisman, one of the DNA entries.
Let's jump back over to GT3, and this is currently, we've got Jeff Jacobs in the number 38, the yellow and blue BMW. He is currently running 8th in Pro, and then we've got Avon Dorsey and Michael Caffrey, the Porsche and the Mercedes. They are battling out still for 5th position in AM. David Payton directly behind them in the D2D Lamborghini. He is sitting 9th in Pro. Sure would like to do anything he could to dispatch Dorsey and Caffrey in there and get up to Jeff Jacobs. But this has been a good little fight between Dorsey and Caffrey. It's been going on, what now, for about 5 laps.
It shows you, I think, that the straight line speed around here is really important to have, because if you can defend on that long front straightaway, you now have the advantage with Tamburello, and then the run from Tamburello to Villeneuve chicane isn't very long. It's hard to make a pass there, yeah. And then Tosa, you pretty much have to stuff it inside if you're going to make a pass. So all of the other straightaways, except for the main front straight, are just short, a little bit too short to get a good draft pass. Oh, and that, I think that's Thorman in the 60s, parked on the inside of the Tosa hairpin.
Yeah, so that's David Payton's teammate Thorman. Yeah, right at the wall there at the apex. We'll bring it up, take a look, and see what happened to him.
Well, he's come around the Villeneuve chicane, okay, not really near anybody, but.
And I think that was that Hosea behind him, or in front of him, pardon me, the 100 car.
I think that's one of those things about the Lamborghini, and for the same thing with the Audi, they're obviously sister cars, is that they can be finicky, twitchy. They're very difficult to make a setup that's consistent. We saw a little bit of this on cold tires last season and the season prior with the Orion team in their Audi. They managed it. Sometimes it's even that much more difficult. That's why a lot of drivers like the Porsche, they like the Mercedes. They're very stable. The Audi and the Lamborghini can be fast, but they also do things like we just saw.
Larry, this is not what our Rookie in the World Challenge wanted to hear. Mr. Starpoli currently running in that number 77 Porsche, as he has just been assigned incident responsibility for the incident with Jake Zito's Cadillac, and Starpoli is now penalized, has to do a drive-through penalty. It looks like he has already come down the pit lane to take that.
Learning quickly, I guess. The baptism by fire here in the league, that they'll get to you really quick if you do cause contact, and that's an unfortunate way for him to start out. He's shown some great speed running up here in the top 3 so far. That penalty is going to drop him down a little bit. We'll see the kind of recovery he'll be on once he does serve it.
Now, right now, it drops him down to 11th in Pro, Larry. He's got 4 AM drivers between he and Russ Ruddick, who is currently sitting 10th in class.
We have a good little battle going here again. We're back to the battle for second in GTP. Holly Queen Grant in the 71, the D2D entry. And then right behind him, one of the DNA Motorsports entry, Tanner Dibble. Look at them going through traffic. Dibble just refusing to let a GT3 car get between them. That's a tough place to catch traffic. Look at the dig coming out of there. Dibble's got nowhere to go. The track can only go 3 cars wide, and even that's pushing it. Ariante Alta, one of the most toughest chicanes you'll drive in the entire sim. It's tight, the curbs are tall.
They're huge, yeah.
And there's just enough of a run after it that you will lose a ton of time to get around. But look at this Dibble down the inside now through Ravazza.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't make it stick.
Yeah, just cannot get it done there, Larry. And you know, we saw Grant go all the way down the outside. He gave him as much room as he could without driving off. Yeah, and it almost looked for a moment there, you know, I wouldn't even think that Dibble would have had a gearing issue. And it's almost like it was an H-powder box. It's like he just had no go after he got the car rotated.
I wonder if Dibble was just being conservative, being good racing. Yeah. So down the inside, ensuring that he didn't drift out, he was a bit conservative. Gave the outside line and a clear line then for Grant. Grant obviously took it, got a really good clean exit. I think that was where Dibble maybe even touched the apex curbing, got the thing into a little bit of a motion, and once you do that, again, you can't put the power down. So I think it's good quality racing, and Dibble just knows that it's a long race. We're only 20-some minutes into a 75-minute race. This is not going to be over by any stretch. Even if you were to win that corner, it would be Grant on the rebound shortly after. So we'll see how this goes. They're having a good scrap though. This battle's been going on for quite a while. They've lost a few. They were trailing them a bit ago, but Avon Dorsey and Jeff Jacobs continue to fight it out. Avon Dorsey learning quickly how wide a car Jeff Jacobs can actually drive.
He's just getting swallowed up by... Well, he was getting swallowed up by GTP cars, and he might end up giving up a position to David Payton here, Larry. As actually, if you remember, the battle I think was between Dorsey and Caffrey for a number of laps.
Yep, he was right there.
And Dorsey had got around Caffrey. Caffrey had been leading Dorsey for about 8 laps.
Well, now it's time for Payton to go and shove his nose down the inside there. Thought he had it for a minute, but I think Dorsey got the better exit. And now it's going to go 3 wide with Caffrey and the Mercedes. Who's got the longer legs here tonight? That Porsche has been pretty good in a straight line.
Yes.
As it looks like Baron Glover, I think, might have been the other one that just stuck down the inside of the GTP. 3 wide into Tabarella chicane. 2 of them back out together. The Dorsey gets through. Where are the others? They're in there. There they are.
They're still battling it out. As Caffrey now gets back around Payton, and now David Payton has to worry about Charlie Hosea, another one of the pro drivers.
Yeah.
As Hosea driving one of the BMWs, he ended up sucking up to that pack as well.
Hosea, another one of our rookies here, and again, not a rookie, and that is Jordan Butler, one of the DNA entries, has just smacked that wall hard. He's on the toe. I think we're going to get a replay of that in a minute, but that looked like a pretty hard impact against me.
So let's take a look at the replay here. And Larry, there were 2 drivers involved. And that's Fernando Takahashi in the 23.
Takahashi drifted a little bit, and then they just get stuck together like magnets. Yeah. Takahashi gets out of there a little bit better, but still... Butler's on the toe. Takahashi is still running. We'll see if the stewards, they are going to take a look at that as Takahashi's into the pits, probably looking at some repairs.
Somebody we haven't checked in tonight with, Larry, is another one of our D2D sim racers. Bobby Childs, and I'm wondering, Larry, if maybe he's the one that precipitated the rest of the team moving over to the Acura. We know Bailey Petrowski really preferred the Acura over the BMW, but I think Bobby was like the sole Acura driver last season in season 9 of the D2D racers, and so
yeah, he may have been, and here he is in the top 10 right now.
Which you realize now is the kiss of death.
You know, we're not going to go there. We wish Bobby well on a clean race. This is a tough track to have really clean race. We've seen so many incidents already. Again, 25 minutes into this, about a third of the way through, and we have seen a lot of contacts. The stewards have been busy already with one penalty and then another one under review. They've reviewed 5 different incidents already, so it's been a busy night for our stewards. But Bobby, he's just trying to stay off their radar and just do his thing, turn laps in a very difficult track. All
right, let's jump back up to Michael Brooks. And for the Wrong Stuff driver, had led this race early on in GTP. He's got Leo Dragota from Orion behind. He's got Mike Dam from Orion Racing ahead. And they've been all three have been separated just a little bit as the GTP traffic has worked their way through, as they are working now starting at lap number 15. And we're getting close to the opening of the pit window for the GT3 cars, Larry. Should be opening up somewhere around lap 18 for these racers. The GTP racers around lap 19, so about 3 laps for each class.
So, you know, we got Leo Dragota there. Of course, he's now in his second World Challenge season here with the Orion team. When he won the M category 2 seasons ago, I believe that was still on his other team, but it was in a Porsche. So he switched then to the Audi because they were all running Audis at the Orion team last season. He may be more comfortable in the Porsche. I think it's showing by his pace already here, running up in the top 3, just kind of draft distance back from both Brooks, just a little bit further from his teammate Mike Dam. So I think Leo is probably another one that really appreciates this move to the Porsche for this season. Chatter going on between drivers across classes as we can kind of hear them on the chat. I'll see which driver may have just said, hey, next time give me more room, but that's part of this. This place is very tight. It's a beautiful classic Italian town type of track, but it is not the widest track, and it is full of these chicanes, because without the chicane, it's just one long straightaway to a couple of turnarounds and then one straightaway back. But it's beautiful. It's got just enough elevation change to make it fun. You look at the Tamburello chicane here, which of course takes out that 180-mile-an-hour sweeper that was there 30 years ago. But it's still a very high-speed, deep chicane nowadays. It's a beautiful corner to be able to drive, and then that leads right into the Villeneuve chicane, which they're going through here. Just 2 of those big, giant offset types. I like those kind of chicanes instead of just the little tight ones like the
that slow you down to 40 miles an hour. You still have some speed here. They're tight. It makes it difficult to pass going through them, but at least allows you to keep up some of that momentum.
Dragota now really working on the strategy. I wonder if he's thinking about fuel saving here behind Michael Brooks, and seeing perhaps he's got something to show for this race here at the end. They're about 2.5 seconds behind leader Mike Dam. But it doesn't look like it's actually a fight. This just looks more like Leo Dragota just burning laps behind Michael Brooks.
Exactly. Yeah, he's just mirroring everything that Brooks does in the Lambo.
Yeah, it's a good strategy at this stage. These are long races. Sometimes people forget, they're 75 minutes in this week. It'll be 90 minutes later this season at a couple of different tracks, but 75 minutes tonight. It is a very long race. There's a lot of things can happen. The best thing you can do is conserve some tire, conserve some fuel, hold your position, don't lose a lot, get through traffic cleanly, and let the race come to you in the second half.
All right, so Larry, when we had the start of the race, I mentioned that Our race starter was provided by the SCCA Foundation. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Not only was our starter, but also our race stewards are provided by the foundation, and the SCCA Foundation provides funding for the SCCA Academy, training the next generation of race workers and volunteers that make real-life road racing events possible. For more information, visit sccafoundation.org.
Good little battle going here. Running in third spot, Tanner Dibble now. He's got Milan Harris right behind him in the Cadillac. Dibble has lost a little bit of ground. He's about a second back now from Podium Grant for second. Now they're coming up with more traffic. Let's see if Dibble can use it to his advantage and can't gain back up to Grant for second. Good job there clearing that car.
All right, Larry, we take a look now at Dragotta and Brooks once again. And I don't know if it's just slightly different entrances to corners, but it looks like Leo has been taking a few looks to the inside on Brooks going into some of the corners here.
It may just be a little visual, just to kind of see the next corner, get a little better air going over the car. You look at their lap times, and they actually took a couple tenths out of Mike Dam's lead. Last time around, Dam maybe getting it back on this lap this time through, but they're hovering in that 2.5 second range. And when you get into traffic as a batch of cars comes through, 2.5 seconds goes away very quickly. And then the same with pit stops. You can make up a couple seconds in pit stops. We've seen the Orion cars, Mike Dam in particular, have very quick, short pit stops, do very good on fuel saving throughout a race. But right now, he doesn't have anybody around him to help him save fuel, whereas Leo does. This may be playing into Leo's hands.
And, you know, I'm starting to wonder also if perhaps both drivers are doing a little bit of fuel savings here, Brooks as well. Brooks has run as fast as a 142.9. That is, I believe, the fastest of our GT3 cars so far here this evening. And both he and Dragotta have been sitting right around the 43.5 mark, and maybe even a little bit off of that pace as well. So at this point, as they're burning fuel down, perhaps they're doing a little bit of lifting and coasting going into the corners together.
Could be a little bit. It's a smart move at this stage to try to make up some ground, but I'm sure Mike Dan in front would recognize that if his gap grows too much, he's going to manage that gap the same way. If you're leading and you know you're not going to really run away from the field, holding a 2.5 second gap is pretty good. It's enough where you're not going to suddenly get bunched by a GTP car. It's also not where a little bit of a conservative entry to your pit stop is going to lose it. It gives you that little bit of a margin. As we flash over to the battle here for 6th in Pro, along with the 5th place runner Avon Dorsey in AM. This train continues.
Yeah. So Jeff Jacobs again in that yellow and blue BMW, the yellow and blue BMW with David Payton, Charlie Hosea, and Chris Thorman, who appears to have recovered slightly as just a couple car lengths back from that pack. And as you said, Avon Dorsey in the 44 Porsche, the black and white Rockefeller Porsche.
It's like they are issuing a penalty there on Fernando Takahashi for that contact that he had earlier.
With Jordan Butler with the 172, yeah. And of course, they're, well, and I guess they felt comfortable in issuing that penalty because I believe both Takahashi and Butler have now left the pits, it appears.
Okay.
So it looks like they are both now possibly on their first lap out. And now Takahashi will have to turn right back around and go back to the pits.
Butler's out there as well, and he's got hopefully most of his repairs on his Cadillac. Actually, Butler's in the Acura tonight. Takahashi coming up on our lead pack here in GT3s. He's going to slalom them, going to the left of Dragotta, to the right of Brooks.
Wow, as they come down the hill, and Dam's a couple cars up.
Might be Jake Zito right in front of him.
Yes, that's the Zito. That's the Zito car. Please visit 109. All right, coming down the pit lane is Takahashi to serve that drive-through penalty.
We've got Ken Copeland's in the chat here tonight watching. Ken, you should be racing.
Yes.
But he's cheering, of course, his Wrong Stuff teammates on, and just made the comment he's got to teach Michael Brooks about fuel-saving ways.
Well, this is how Ken does the extreme fuel savings. It's by not putting a car on the course. Ken, where are you?
Maybe we'll get him back next season. Our defending champ basically dominated the pro class last season. A lot of good races. In fact, one race where he and Michael Brooks, if you remember at Daytona, bump drafting around the oval.
Yes.
But I guess if he's not going to race, he may as well add to our viewership. So thanks for watching, Ken. There's
He
Grant
says the
as
couch gets great MPGs.
I'm sure it does. All right, so we're want to keep an eye on here on Polyculi Grant and Milan Harris. The battle for third, as they've got about a second and a half back from Tanner Dibble in front of them. As Petrowski just continues to inch away in this race. Petrowski doing what he said he was going to do, which is just to be consistent and just turn laps just without mistakes. Petrowski's done that so far tonight as we get close to the halfway point.
All right, well, we're seeing that we are right up at the top of the hour. And, well, frankly, I think we're already a couple laps into the pit window for the GTP racers. Anyhow, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll thank some of our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here from Imola, where you're watching season number 10 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Buttkicker. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Imola, where you're watching the season number 10 debut here of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Buttkicker. And, you know, Larry, I believe this is the 4th season in a row that our great partner, Buttkicker, is going to be, again, giving away a Buttkicker Gamer Plus package valued at $279.95 to one lucky racer in the World Challenge. If you want to turn up your immersion in your sim rig, visit thebuttkicker.com for more information.
Glad to have them back on for that. That's always a great prize to give away, and one of these drivers might just win it at the end of the season. The pit stop parade is going to continue into the pit lane. Look at this. All of them.
That's right. Yeah, a whole slew of our GT3 racers, Larry. Just as we had gone to break, Michael Brooks was the first of our racers to take to the pit lane. But look at this. We've got Charlie Ozea, Ian Patience, Jeff Jacobs, David Payton in the pit lane here, taking on fuel. And coming down the road is Tanner Dibble, pitting in from second in GTP. We've had Fredericks, Zito, and Molefield all take pit stops already in GTP, but Petrowski, Paulo Cui-Grant, and Milan Harris are still circulating here, working lap number 27.
It's going to be interesting for Dibble where he comes out, because again, he's been in a pretty close battle with Grant and Harris pretty much as this race going. Now Harris has made his way around Grant at this stage, but those three had been kind of duking it out a little bit. So putting some separation, if these two struggle, it could swing one way and be in favor for Dibble, or it could go the other if he catches any traffic. So interesting gamble there for Dibble to take a different pit strategy.
It's Milan. Well, yeah, I'm not sure which one he went around. We've got Milan Harris in the number 98 machine. He's currently running in second.
Josh Fidel.
Fidel.
For 26.
All right, coming down the pit lane now, Robert Hartley pits in from 4th in pro. Ilya Speaker pits in from, I believe, 3rd in AM.
We haven't talked much about Rob Hartley yet tonight. His teammates have kind of been hogging the headlines here, running 1st and 3rd, but Hartley quietly getting on with the program.
Yeah, I mean, he looked a little unsure of himself in the Porsche, Larry, in practice, but he has been pretty, rock stable here during the race, as we mentioned, running as he pitted in from 4th in pro, which was about 7th overall.
We'll keep an eye on things here. Of course, as Mike Dam continues to lead, yet to stop his teammate Leo Jagoda, about 4 seconds back in second. Michael Brooks did stop. That's why you see him down the order there, currently in 4th. You see where he's on track right now, trying to avoid some GTPs that are going on by, but all by himself otherwise. It's a good thing if you're Michael Brooks. Just seeing some clean air is about the best you can hope for.
Exactly. All right, so we think the GT3 pit window, Larry, would extend until lap number 26. Our GT3 racers right at the front of the field. Looks like Mike Dam has just started at lap number 25, so we're probably getting close to the end of the window there. And our GTP racers, the window probably runs to about lap number 31. And as you can see right at the top of the timing tower, our leaders in GTP currently on lap number 28. All right, Adam Ballard is in. He pits in from 2nd in AM. We haven't said much about Adam tonight in the number 29 machine. He is running for Rockefeller Racing in his Huracan, and he is another rookie. Guess we can call him Florida Man, by the way.
Gotta give a shout out to Rockefeller Racing. They have brought a big contingent this season. You'll see that the RR and a lot of times the black and white sort of split the open-faced Oreo cookie look. I don't know if they like me saying that, but I like that's how it is. I am kind of hungry. But yeah, with Adam Ballard.
And everybody who's seen me on the Super Tour knows I love Oreos.
Yeah, with of course Ilya Speaker on that team, Rocco, Ballard, Dorsey, Keith Stein. So we got quite a few from Rockefeller.
Yeah, they came on. We had a number of racers come on board. I think it was round 6 of 7 last season, and as we mentioned, we've got at least one running in GTP as well this season.
Yeah, a couple, Aaron Beaver and Milan Harris, both.
That's right.
Racing. Yeah.
All right, coming down the pit lane, Mike Dam and Leo Dragotta, the 2 Orion teammates. As they pitted from the lead, that's going to put Brian Bennett now in his Audi up into the lead temporarily in GT3 Pro.
So keep in mind, if you lead an entire lap, officially in the record books in your class, you do get an extra bonus point. So bonus points, if you're not familiar, get handed out and collected throughout the season. There is a maximum number that you can earn throughout the season, but they're typically awarded for things like being on pole, leading your class for a lap. I believe they even give out some of those points for participating in some of the practice sessions that go on throughout the season. So very important when you're running for a championship to get all of those, as we say, kind of free points that are out there if you can get them.
All right, Dam and Dragotta leave the pit lane as they do. Avon Dorsey pits in from 2nd in GT3 AM in his BMW, another one of our Rockefeller Racing drivers. And let's see where Dam comes out. Both Dam and Dragotta come out ahead of Michael Brooks, Larry, and
he did.
Yeah,
not
but
much though.
I was going to say Brooks is right back behind Dragotta at this point.
Yeah, so kind of about how they went in, Brooks was able to leapfrog there after the stops to get ahead of Dragotta, but they're still about 5 seconds back from Dam. So Dam making out pretty well in that pit exchange. There was not enough fuel saving going on there for Leo to be able to do anything to break into that. But now we're down to crunch time. We're in the last 30 minutes now of this race, so this is where losing any time will really hurt you. You know what everybody's pace is. Everyone's running to the end, other than the couple like Steiner and Bennett that haven't stopped yet. The others pretty much has. Is Billy Petrowski, our race leaders in.
Mm-hmm. And Milan Harris and Palakui Grant as well. All 3 of them come in. Ryan Reisman brings his Cadillac down the pit lane as well. And now we see Brian Bennett, who for a while was leading GT3 Pro. He comes down the pit lane in his Audi. That is now going to move David Steiner up to the GT3 Pro, well, he's already the GT3 AM leader, but he is currently your GT3 leader. And if he can complete this lap, he should pick up a bonus point as well.
Many drivers on the GTPs are yet to stop. Ben Rose is one of them. He's got the lead. Waiting on Bobby Childs. I think maybe Nicky Chan and Baron Glover are the ones that are still waiting on their stops.
And as you say that, Nicky Chan comes down the pit lane.
I think Bobby also.
Indeed. Bobby Childs coming down the pit lane now as Palakui Grant completes his pit stop and he returns. And Grant rejoins, well, he's rejoining what in 6th position, but we still have Rose and Glover yet to pit.
But I think he does come out behind Harris.
He does.
And Dibble, and those were the guys he was fighting with before. So Palakui Grant maybe losing a little bit of ground. He may have had some issues on some laps prior to the pit exchange. Now he knows he's got some work to do. About 1.5 seconds back from Harris, who's about another 4 seconds back from Tanner Dibble, who's in that virtual second spot right now as we wait for Rose, who's now in the pits, as well as Baron Glover. Probably will pull in momentarily.
All right, and David Steiner now in his Dominate BMW comes down the pit lane. One of the last of our GT3 racers to pit in. He pits in from the lead.
I think we saw Bobby Childs also made his stops. I think that's pretty much everybody except Baron Glover. And he might be pulling in on this lap in just a moment.
Yeah, at this point, and indeed, Larry, he comes down the pit lane. We just see him pit in as he was getting right towards the end of the pit window for these cars.
All right, so the battle's out there. That's one of them. That's Michael Brooks, currently third, chasing down a Leo Dragotta as they go past Lucas Dragotta from Dragon Sport. So those two, though, the Lamborghini in the battle right now with the blue and white Porsche right in front of him. As race leader Bailey Petrowski has resumed the lead, goes right past them, going through the Villeneuve chicane. Head down for the hairpin.
And Leo Dragotta getting very defensive going into the hairpin.
A little bit there, you know, with all the traffic and letting some of the GTPs go. You lost a little bit of the exit speed to the chicane. As Dibble now makes his way past this trio. Trio being two Dragottas and Brooks. Brooks, some kind of patience he shows. Being on the podium would be very nice, of course, but taking that second step might be meaningful for him to get off to a really good start in this race. But I think it's going to be a little while. They're right now about 7 seconds back from Mike Dam.
And
that's going to be
Larry,
tough.
you notice there's a change in this shot. That there were two Porsches and a Lamborghini. There is now one Porsche and a
We've lost a
Lamborghini.
Dragotta. There was a Lucas Dragotta just back from there, so there he is coming into the chicane, and there he is going around back end first. Didn't make contact with anybody, but certainly is going to lose about 10 or 15 seconds of time as he gets clear of the track. And unfortunately for Lucas, currently running, I think he's in about 10th in AM right now. 16 AM cars tonight, 11 cars in Pro in GT3, 27 total GT3 cars on this little ribbon of real estate here in Northeast Italy. Harris, one of the Rockefeller Racing entries. Color looks a little less cookies and cream, a little more tiramisu.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to say it's actually less Oreo and more your traditional cookies and cream, ice cream.
Yes, I am hungry at this time of the evening. What better place for food than Italy?
Well, luckily, Larry, we still have a couple cases of wine to go through.
Oh, we left some? That's good.
Yes.
I wasn't sure. As much as we've drank in the last week. I don't know
Duty free,
as much
man.
as I drank in the last week.
2 words, duty free.
All right. So Harris currently up into that 3rd spot, but that's probably Grant, the D2D driver and former champ in this class, behind him. Kind of waving aloha at him.
And Larry, even after this pit stop, knows Bailey Petrowski now resetting fast lap. We don't have it on the timing tower right there, but just turned in a 129.02. And as I'm going through the rest of our GTP field, yeah, he's almost 4/10 faster than, or actually, yeah, about 4/10 faster than Paulo Kui Grant, who is the 2nd fastest GTP car out there.
I suspect Bailey put on a new pair of shoes at his pit stop, and we're seeing the benefit of that right now. His teammate, Grant, in pretty good little battle here for that 3rd spot. They're a little bit back from Tanner Dibble, about 6 seconds from him, but Grant now getting a little feisty here behind Harris. Draft pass. See if he can go late to the brakes. No, he's just going to phantom move, kind of try and get Harris to brake late. Didn't work. Oh, almost outbroke himself. Look how much movement that car has. It's a big, long car. You see how much movement that's got going through those 2 corners.
And where it looks like Lucas Dragotta's issues continue. He had another issue with the car, spun it around and has continued.
Yeah, I think he may have actually exited for the evening.
Yeah.
But the other Dragotta is continuing to lead in the second spot here ahead of Michael Brooks. It looked like this for a while. Now remember, before all the pit stops started, before Brooks took his early stop, he was the same thing with Dragotta behind him. Now, of course, we don't think the fuel savings is going to matter. It depends on if they're comfortable with how much they put in the car. This might just be pushing the pace with the hopes that maybe they can start to chip away at Mike Dam with 7 seconds up the road, or maybe you learn a few things and try to figure out, where am I going to make this pass if you're Michael Brooks? Where are you going to make this pass to Leo Dragotta in the next 20-some minutes?
And you want to make sure that you join us for the rest of season number 10 here in the World Challenge. Of course, we'll be opening up here at Imola, but Larry, our next stop for round number 2 going to be at Laguna Seca, Dry Lake. Our first, I think this is our very first round for the World Challenge at Misano at the World Circuit. Should definitely be a good time there. And of course, we look forward to every single season because it's finally the time and place that we can let the GTP cars stretch their legs. Going to be at Le Mans.
So I'm noticing a trend with those tracks you just named. They're all in the middle of good wine growing, grape growing country.
See?
All of those.
See, we're just going to either end up in AA at the end of the season, or we're just lost in the spectator areas at these tracks. But
I don't think the World Challenge is going to Belle Isle in Detroit. No offense to those people in Detroit, but
no. Although, if you remember, a couple seasons ago, we did do Long Beach, and watching those GTP cars try to navigate that last hairpin was something.
If you're watching tonight's race, you want to go back, you got some time to kill. That's a fascinating race. Is the World Challenge.
Oh my gosh!
Last season, the yellow flag incidents and all of the time it took.
Oh my gosh! Well, Fernando Takahashi stuck between the wall with his GTP car.
A crazy night. Russ Ruddock right in front of this battle for second. Ruddock gets it going again. Dragotta had to lift a little bit.
Oh.
Brooks trying to use a little bit of a draft there. Oh,
I think Brooks came up on the back of that BMW a lot sooner than he thought he was going to.
And in true Dragotta style, Leo gets on the radio and actually apologized to Russ for coming up on him like that. Russ chatting right back to him, no, it was my fault. Just a couple of, no, sir, no, it's you, no, it's me, no, it's, nice gentlemanly things going on here.
Quiet kid. Yeah.
We don't know exactly how old he is, but Leo is not the oldest driver in the sim. It's a battle between he and his brother Lucas.
He was respecting his elders.
Yeah, he and Lucas. One of them we believe is the youngest, although we got some new faces this season. There may be some more young talent coming through. I think they give that in the bios that we have. I don't think we have age of all the drivers.
No.
Bobby Charles is like, thank God they don't. Sorry, Bobby. Well, Bobby's probably younger than me, so there's that. Good little group here. That is your leader in AM right now, David Steiner, running on a good little pack of GT3 Pros. Right behind him, I think that's a lap car, Jason Burmeister, that he just went around. And then up in front of him, I think that is Brockway, I think, in that Ferrari.
I believe, is that the blue Ferrari, or the purple Ferrari? Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so right now Steiner actually doesn't have anybody in his class around him. His lead's about 4 seconds over Ilya Speaker. He's driving a Porsche tonight. And then Steiner's about 14 seconds back from the 4th place car in Pro. So Steiner just kind of doing his thing tonight. He's doing it well. We're looking at the back of Leo Dragotta now as this pack of GTPs is coming through. Ross, actually lap cars, spent some time in the pits, I believe. Baron Glover came through there. So 15 minutes to go or so, 17 minutes or so. If you're Michael Brooks at this point, you've got to start thinking about it's a difficult track to pass. Make a pass wherever you can. You're no longer thinking wait till the end. I think at this stage, they're about minute 40 or so around this place. Not a lot of laps to take your chances, so you may have to use one of these GTPs or maybe one of the slower GT3s if you have to. But if you're Michael Brooks, you got to start thinking it's go time. The idea of overtaking Mike Dam on sheer speed, working together, that's just kind of out the window now with Dam over 9 seconds up the road. So I think their best chance is hopefully finish second and third, but if you're Michael Brooks, you'd love that second place.
And Larry, looks like Milan Harris, who had been running in third position, just had a little bit of an oopsie moment. Let's take a look, but we now know Paul Kui Grant, I think, has now moved up into third. Let's take a look. Coming down into the Ravazza.
Yep, just broke a little bit late, got a little bit of lockup on the inside, and that downhill catches you out, especially in these aero cars. You could lose a little bit of downforce in the front end, you could lock him up a little bit, but he loses the position. But now we're taking a look at Fernando Takahashi, who may have also had his own off.
And this is coming into Tamburello, into the first chicane.
Oh, that's more than just an off. I believe that might have been
Stephen May.
Is that May?
I think, yeah.
In the Ferrari.
Stephen May in the number 53 machine.
Well, Harris having his issue there. Let Paulie Grant on through, but you can see Grant right there in front of him now brings the battle for the final podium position right to the front.
Yeah, Harris had a couple of seconds on Grant when he had that off there, and yeah, we'll see how things play out here.
Bailey Petrowski said what was his strategy going into the first turn tonight? Just don't lock him up.
Right.
Well, if you're Milan Harris, that's what happens. You lock him up and you go off, you lose position. You hope you only lose position, you don't hit a wall. That's luckily for him, that's what he did. But he's now got to work his way back around Grant if he thinks he's going to be on a podium tonight. Speaking of podiums, the podium in GT3 Pro is right in front of this view, as Petrowski is trying to get past your overall race leader going through the second and third place in Pro in GT3s. Love to see it. I'm a math guy. I'd love to see the statistical analysis, the standard deviation of Bailey Petrowski lap times tonight, because he is putting on a clinic of just being consistent. Really haven't seen him doing anything. But what I can say is Tanner Dibble has at least made it interesting now, 4 seconds back. I don't know if Dibble's got enough in him to catch for the lead, but Dibble at least has about 7 seconds on these guys in their battle. Watch the lap times also of Dragotta and Brooks here in this battle. To give you an idea, each of them, their best lap of the race is just into the 42.9s. Their last lap was a 43.0, 43.1. So they're essentially running qualifying lap times here with this 15 minutes to go. And that's all Dragotta can do, is just go out and run qualifying laps and try and run away from Brooks, or at least not give him any opportunities. That's really hard to do, to just turn the mirrors down and not worry about the guy behind you, because that pink front end there on that carbon look or so, that can be pretty intimidating in the mirrors.
Yes.
That battle for third in the GTP is coming through. Grant and Harris. DTD and the Rockwell coming through. Rockefeller, I should say, coming through. Grant can breathe for a second as he's able to get around the GT3. It's just a moment quicker than Harris, but I'm sure Harris will be right back on his gearbox momentarily. I guess his diffuser. Gearbox under all that carbon fiber somewhere.
Yes.
I'm sure it's a very expensive gearbox.
Ooh. Petrowski stepped out a little bit there on the grass on the exit.
Yeah, it's a bit of that kind of astroturf strip down there. And you can catch that if you're not careful. It can be a little slippery. It can also give you one of those off-track lap time deleted sort of things, and they'll add up. Now, in qualifying, they matter. Here in the race, not as much, other than if you can stay clean, you can get bonus points. And also, if you add up too many of them, but we actually drive through them. It's going to getting down in that range tonight, but
Hopefully not.
it's always a threat.
And nice little fight going on right now. This is Baron Glover and Ryan Reisman. Glover in the number 13 Wrong Stuff Porsche, the 4/4, probably Wrong Stuff. Yeah, Wrong Stuff Porsche, and then Ryan Reisman in the Cadillac, the blue 414 directly behind. And of course, Ryan Reisman is world famous for the fact that he never blinks.
I think he might. It was Ben Rose that was
Was
an
it
entire
Rose?
race.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's right.
That's another one you want to go back and watch is the lack of blinking on Ben Rose. I believe it was a race at Monza
Yeah,
that we
I think
had
it was
about a
Monza.
year or so ago. We had a lot of really great races in this series, and some of the drivers were just fast. Reisman's been quick. Ben Rose has won a lot of races in the series. He's running down in 10th right now. So yeah, there's some very fast drivers in this field. It shows you how deep the competition's gotten in the last couple seasons.
And you know, we should mention here, speaking about deep fields, Brian Bennett, who's running fourth right now in GT3 Pro area, and of course he had picked up the bonus point for leading one lap. He is, I didn't even realize this, he is another one of our rookies here this season, running for Sector 5 Racing, and he's been behind the wheel of a race car in iRacing now for almost 10 years. So another Florida man done good here tonight in the World Challenge.
Yeah, lots of rookies in here, and I think that's a new team. I don't think we've had anybody from that Sector 5 team joining us before, so welcome to the team, Sector 5, and to Brian. If he's been on iRacing 10 years, that's a long time. Definitely some experience there, and right now it's got him all the way up in the fourth at a very deep GT3 Pro field.
All right, so we've got about 10 minutes remaining, and so Larry, we've been talking about, Brooks.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, I think had 15 minutes or closer to 20 minutes to try and find a way around the 118 of Leo Dragota. Time
And
is
these guys
ticking
continue
away.
to run those qualifying lap times. Their last time by, a 43.1 for Dragota and a 42.95 for Brooks, nearly his fastest lap of the race. As you can see right there, I mean, it's just some fast laps. And if you're Brooks, it's just so hard to pass around here. At this point, he's either going to need a mistake out of Dragota, which has been few and far between, or he's going to have to force the issue, maybe with some lap traffic. But with 9 minutes left in the countdown, tall order. But finishing in the podium is a good thing. So I don't think he wants to throw that away with any high-risk move. It's going to be a good, solid move if he can, but he certainly wouldn't want to get into a wreck and take himself out and give away round one, good, solid points that they're both in right now.
And there is Jake Zito once again. Oh, every time I see him come up on some GT3 cars, I feel and worry for him, Larry.
Yeah, his introduction to the series hasn't been smooth, but it's only round one.
You know, 7 more rounds to go.
We need more drivers from Montana in this series. We've got a couple battles here that are affecting podiums. Of course, there's this one between Brooks and Dragota running second, third in GT3 Pro. And Brooks may have a good run here. It's not over yet. Brooks got a really good exit there. Dragota did not. Brooks will be on the inside when he gets up the top of the hill and make this left. On to Piratella. Dragota's not going anywhere. Dragota now gets the inside into Aqua Minerale as they get down to the Old Creek.
Oh!
Brooks backs out, I think.
Yeah, and Dragota, and I think Brooks did it. He saw Dragota get a whole lot of curbing. I'm frankly amazed that Dragotta was able to gather that car back up. But look how much ground Brooks gave up in that sequence.
Yeah, I'd love to get a replay of that, looking at it from the other angle, but that was beautiful car control for Dragotta to keep that thing on the inside. Honestly, had Brooks been there, I think they both would have been safe, but I think you're right. Brooks went, whoa, where's this guy going as he clobbers a curve and went right down the inside, but it was really good car control for Dragotta. He really is earning this second place finish that he's in right now. Not over yet. It could come back. That might have been, though, the best chance for Brooks to get that second step.
Indeed. Looks like Thorman having some more issues. He just put the car off, and it looks like he's had to take the tow back to the pits. Check in for a little bit here with a driver who has nothing but open and clear air ahead of him, Larry, and quite a good gap behind him as well. That is Mike Dam. He is your GT3 Pro leader at the moment. He has about 11 seconds on his teammate Leo Dragotta.
I promise you, this is not lone car qualifying. There is a race going on. He has just found the one stretch of track that doesn't have anyone in it. I think might be a car coming up behind him. GTPs is going to be getting close, but Mike Dam's had some really good pace tonight for GT3s. DNA Motorsport entries, I believe, about to go on by him.
Well, look at this, Larry. Jeff Jacobs, Ian Patience. Jacobs currently running 6th in GT3 Pro. Ian Patience running 5th in AM. And closing up behind, there's David Payton from D2D running 7th in Pro.
Jeff Jacobs really, again, showing us that wide car. Jacobs had a successful weekend in the autocross world last weekend, winning the solo spec coupe class at the New Jersey Pro Solo. And I tell you, that is a very difficult class to win any time out. Stacked with really good drivers, including his teammate Tony, and a couple other guys. Getting Darren's real fast. And, Mr. Jacobs came out on top of them over the weekend. So well done there. And here he is. Got the car here in the top 6 in Pro category tonight.
And Larry, taking a look, Milan Harris in his Cadillac going down the pit lane.
If he didn't have enough fuel on board.
Quite possibly, as he pitted in from 4th. He now drops back to 5th.
Oh, that's unfortunate. He was having such a good run there. A really good chance to at least be 4th, if not grab a 3rd. And that fuel strategy is going to come back to bite him. You've really got to watch that fuel consumption for Harris. I think he's going to make a mental note of this one and not make that mistake again. But oh, that's tough because he had such a good run going.
Yeah, and it was a very short stop, Larry. Only about 35 seconds in the pit box and just enough to get a splash and go.
Yeah, well, that promotes then Ben Rose. Once again, he won a lot of races in this series. He's now up to 4th. Look at that foursome: Petrowski, Dibble, Grant, and Rose. They're all capable of winning any night we're out here. So that's a fearsome front 4 running right now at GTP. And then Harris obviously showing his pace tonight. It's there. And he'll win races too very soon, I'm sure. Can Brooks catch up to Dragotta and make a run at him again in the next 2 to 3 laps?
They were pretty much on the same pace on the previous lap, Larry. A couple hundredths of a second the difference.
It's Billy Petrowski, the leader overall, gets by Dragotta, who manages to not lose much time. A little bit of a slide on entry there, but of course Brooks is also letting his own GTP on through, and I think that's probably Grant, if I'm not mistaken. That's Bobby. Looks
That's
like
Bobby Childs, I think.
Okay, could be. Yeah, the red trim there on the GTP. So about a second between the second place runner Jagoda and Brooks in third. About 2 minutes left on the clock, and it'll be decided when Petrowski crosses the line. So we'll keep our eye on him as we get closer to the white flag lap. It's a good little battle here. His patience doing anything he can to get around that widest BMW in the game, Jeff Jacobs.
All right, here comes Bailey Petrowski, Larry. He is going to see the white flag here. There it is in the air. One more lap to go. One more circuit of Imola for Bailey Petrowski here tonight.
Well, he's going to have to do it with some traffic in front of him. He's got a bit of a buffer. He's got about 7 seconds. Tanner Dibble running in second behind him. He's got some time if he needs to take his time getting around these other cars. Dibble should be also on his white flag lap. And then running third, Paula Kui Grant, Petrowski's teammate from D2D, about under 4 seconds behind Tanner Dibble. And for Petrowski, who's last season, he had some phenomenal races, and then some other races where whether it was some opening lap issues, or as he even admitted, maybe some fuel issues, didn't quite get the overall result that he wanted, but came into tonight kind of on that mission to just drive to perfection. And so far, with half a lap to go, he's been doing it very well.
Very well.
Around 64, Peyton, I believe it is, his teammate. Two more corners. Ravazza 1, Ravazza 2. Checkered flag will be waiting for him.
Move it there, cheap to everybody else. Here we go. Coming down the front straight. And taking the checkered flag for the first win of season number 10 in the World Challenge. Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing. Tanner Dibble. There he is coming across the line. Dibble's going to finish second, and taking the win in GT3 Pro, Mike Dam.
Dominant.
Yeah, once again dominant, a three-time GT3 Pro champion. And look at that, putting on the weave, coming across the line. Leo Dragoda is going to finish second tonight here in the World Challenge. For Orion and Michael Brooks from The Wrong Stuff will finish in third. Let's take a look at our AM category leader. This is David Steiner, driver of the number 63 machine. And as Steiner comes across the line, Dominate Racing takes the win in round number 1 of season 10 here in GT3 AM. Congratulations to him. Ilya Speaker will finish in second. And Adam Ballard, still waiting on Adam. He's about 20 seconds in arrears. There's Adam coming out of the final quarter. Cookies and cream for Rockefeller Racing. And Adam Ballard will finish in third for GT3 AM. There you go. Great race tonight, Larry. And you said it in GTP between Petrowski, Dibble, Grant, Ben Rose in the top 4, all drivers that are capable of winning races here. Yep. All racers that have won races here in the World Challenge. A great fight. And, you know, in GT3 Pro, I mean, this is what happens when somebody stays on the couch.
So winning the couch class tonight is
That's
wonderful.
right.
But they're winning because they get to watch and follow along.
That's right.
Winning the race tonight.
Listen to you.
But winning the race tonight, not the couch.
That's right. So Mike Dam takes the win for Orion and Pro, and taking the win is David Steiner for Dominate in AM. So let's do this, Larry. Let's take a quick break. Well, thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here at Imola, where you've just seen round number 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Buttkicker. We'll be right back.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Hundreds of name brand parts. Expert support. Ricmotech has you covered. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Imola, everybody, where you've just seen round number 1, season number 10 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. So let's take a look at that finishing order once again. John, if we can. There it is. Taking the win tonight in GTP, Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing, with D2D, well, probably with DNA Motorsports, Tanner Dibble finishing second. Petrowski's teammate, Paul Grant, finishing in third. In GT3 Pro, Mike Dam from Orion is the first across the line. His teammate Leo Dragotta finishes second. Michael Brooks from The Wrong Stuff finishes in third. And finally, in GT3 AM, taking the win tonight is David Steiner from Dominate Racing. Ilya Speaker finishing second, and Adam Ballard finishing in third. All right, let's do this. Let's take a look. I believe, Larry, for the second time this evening. Actually, let's do this. Let's get him out of the way first. We already talked to him once. Maybe he can tell us a little bit more about his 7-string guitar or something. Let's talk to Bailey Petrowski, our overall winner tonight. Takes the win in GTP for D2D Sim Racing.
All right, playing his own victory song, Bailey Petrowski with the win here tonight. Bailey, that, as you said you were planning for, that looked like nearly flawless run tonight. Was it as flawless as it looked?
It was about as flawless as I could get it, and I think it's a pretty good accomplishment considering I had 0 incidents that race and 0 off tracks. With how tough this track is to keep it with how tight the off tracks are in this, I'm really proud of that.
That's a serious accomplishment. I don't know if the viewers haven't run this track know how hard this place is with 1Xs. They're everywhere. We had a couple people catch slowdowns tonight, but to go through with no incident, that is actually an accomplishment, and to do it with a dominating win with a very tough field. Dibble behind you had some serious pace. Grant, Harris was fast. You guys, you're in for a fight, but you come away with top points here in this opening round. You gonna be ready for the fight all season? Are we gonna see some more of this in 2 weeks?
I'm hoping for it. I'm really looking forward to it because both with Paul Kui's pace, Dibble's pace, and then a couple other drivers were up there keeping up with us. It wasn't easy to pull away, and I could never get further than 5 seconds. So it definitely is going to be a bit of a struggle. I think I can fight for the win, obviously, for this. But I'll definitely have to fight for it. It is looking like it will be tough.
That guitar is going to get real dusty over the next number of weeks, but a great win here tonight. Well deserved, but I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank here for the win.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want to thank the team as always. Thank sponsors for our team and sponsors for the series that make a lot of this series possible. Thank you guys for commentating on these races and giving your opinion on how the races go. Want to thank all the people who were driving tonight. I think people were doing really good tonight, and I think it's a good show for the series, and I think there's a lot of potential with this season right now. And I want to thank my family and friends and all the family that are watching the broadcast and came to support me.
All right, well, Bailey Petrowski putting on the show here tonight, getting the overall win in GTP here in round 1. Congrats, Bailey.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, so Larry, he definitely cut like a knife tonight. Let's bring in Mike Dam from Orion Racing. Took the win in GT3 Pro.
All right, Mike Dam with a dominating win. Mike, I got to ask, are you just really comfortable in this Porsche?
Hey guys, yeah, it's I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, we noticed that the whole Orion team, you guys kind of switched out of the Audi back to the Porsche. I know a couple years ago you seem to be very comfortable in it. Tonight you look like you just right back into that old favorite pair of tennis shoes.
Yeah, I mean I honestly forgot that the 992 came out. So Travis said we were doing Porsche, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I'm like, crap, I gotta buy the car. But no, kind of fit like a glove. I've always loved driving Porsches. I drive the Cup car a lot, so kind of this similar dynamics, just with the extra aero, right? So no, I really enjoyed it. It was a really tight race at the start. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Well, it's great to watch. Yeah, it was very tight at the beginning of this race. You had a whole group up in there. Star Poli was up in that front group. Of course, Michael Brooks had some really great pace out of the gate tonight. He gave your teammate Leo a great run for his money there for that second spot on the podium. So I think it's going to be a tough fought season. There's some people even that we haven't seen show their pace yet. I think that's coming. So probably feels good to get the first one of the books, but I don't know how comfortable you can be or how confident you can be going into the rest of the season.
No, absolutely. It's looking forward to it. It was a great race today. Kudos to Leo for pulling off that battle with Michael, and I think it could have been a lot closer. I was really having trouble keeping up with Michael myself at the start. So no, it's really good pace by a lot of these guys. It's really good.
Yeah, it bodes well for this season. It's going to be very competitive here in the GT3 ranks. But also, I would let you know we found a guitar player, so we kind of accompany you on your vocal solos. Bailey Petrowski plays he plays a 7-string rock guitar.
Well, let me tell you, we've been dancing with each other on track in a bad way, so we're well acquainted, I feel.
All right, well, perfect. You guys are all ready for your duet. I expect that ready in 2 weeks. But tonight,
and we've decided it's got to be a song from Paul Anka.
Oh man.
Well, tonight, no.
I don't know if there are any good guitar renditions of Paul Anka songs, though.
Yeah. So it was a great race, though, for you tonight. All kidding aside, a great win by more than 10 seconds out there. It's really dominant. So great win there. But I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping you get here.
Yeah, just all the guys at Orion. Once again, Frank at Ricmotech keeps sponsoring this league. It's really just got really good equipment. I use a lot of it. So yeah, thanks to you guys for broadcasting. It's good to be back.
So, well, congrats again, Mike. Way to get right back in it and get to the winning ways right off the bat here, but it's going to be a fun season. I can tell. So, nice win tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go, everybody. That is Mike Dam from Orion Racing, your winner tonight, round number 1 in GT3 Pro. Now let's move over to our GT3 AM winner tonight, Larry, and I don't believe we've ever spoken to the driver from Dominate Racing, David Steiner.
All right, getting the win tonight. GT3 Am from Dominate Racing. Flies the Australian flag, but I'm told you just might be a West Coaster around these parts. David Steiner getting the win here. David, tell me a little bit about your victory tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. It's nice to be up here, and it's really nice to. Well, it's just a maiden podium with the league here, so that's great. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, we were just thinking before we kind of went here with the interview. I was like, I don't think we've ever had a chance to talk to you, so it's awesome. I mean, you really had a kind of a dominating sort of win here tonight. Kind of pulled away from the field early. You had some pushing there at the beginning. There were some folks there kind of once you got through that opening traffic though, kind of like just settled in. Was that the strategy? Was just kind of find that groove and hope for some clean track?
Yeah, there was. I decided that settling in was probably the, it's like discretion being the better part of valor. I think it was the right thing to do. But I enjoyed being up, not far behind Mike Dam and his group there, and that was good for a few laps. But I felt like I was cooking the tyres a bit, and I was starting to feel it. So I thought, let's just manage, and just check the gap to Ilya, who drove sensationally for the whole race. He didn't seem to, from what I could see, Ilya didn't make a mistake. He was clean and he was consistent, and he was keeping me honest. So yeah, for the most part, I was just trying to manage there and just not make mistakes.
Yeah, well, it executed to perfection to be able to bring this victory home for you. It's a very tough track, a lot of attrition tonight, a lot of incidents, and the further away from those you can stay, the more successful your night's going to be. And you did that very well tonight to bring you this victory here for Dominate Racing in the opening round. I know you got a team with you, and I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping you get here to this victory.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's the two Caffrey brothers. We drive together, we train together, we do preparation, and we share notes. And so thanks to those guys for being a part of that team and getting into it and doing well. But aside from that, look, it's my first time here, so I'll certainly thank the sponsors. Thanks to Ricmotech and Proforma, Texas Graphics, Buttkicker, MRA, for being on board and enabling the league with their presence and their funding. And thanks to you guys. It's it's one of the your broadcast is is probably the best one I know when it comes to sim racing leagues, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and I look forward to putting this one on later.
Appreciate the kind words,
Really
but I'll tell you what,
thank you.
Maybe your first time in the interview booth, but I have a feeling you may be back with more drives like this. That was a great run tonight to get you your maiden victory here, GT3 Am. So congrats for the win tonight.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, there you go, everybody. That is David Steiner. And Larry, you were almost implying that he was not a real Australian.
The accent's there, I'm saying. He maybe living stateside these days, but he's an Aussie.
Okay, just making sure. I wanted to make sure you weren't accusing him of anything. All right, let's go and wrap things up here tonight.
If they only knew the chat, the other things that go on in the background, we won't peel that curtain back anytime soon.
No, probably best that we don't. But at least again, the duty free. We're enjoying the liquor. Anyway, all right, let's wrap things up here this evening, Larry. And take a look at what's coming up. We're starting brand new seasons of the Sports Car Series, brand new season of the Ricmotech World Challenge. And let's take a look first at the Ricmotech World Challenge season number 10 schedule. We already talked about being at Laguna Seca next, going to great places like Misano for the very first time. We're going to be at the Nürburgring GP circuit, the National Park of Speed, of course, and Le Mans for our 2 90-minute endurance races, and wrapping up the season at Fuji. So let's take a look at what we have coming up next on the schedule. Next week, next Monday night, May 13th, the Sports Car Series returns for round number 2. Our LMP3 and GT4 cars are going to be at Barber Motorsports Park. Another nice, tight course to have multi-class racing at. It's going to be a 60-minute run to the checker. And then, as you just saw, round number 2 of the World Challenge is going to be May 20th at Laguna Seca. We're then going to take Memorial Day off. That's May 27th. You can see here that the Touring Car Cup for our GR86 and MX5 Cup cars returns towards the end of August. So you got all summer to stew, and we will be bringing that to you August 26th for round number 1. So you don't want to miss it. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and glad to say that we are David Steiner's favorite announcing team. And we will see you next Monday night. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.